Well, hey, everybody. I know I've seen some of you guys. My name's David Caldwell. I'm been working with Nazar for a little while. I think I'm going to start doing these calls on, I think it's the second and fourth Thursdays. So I guess what I want to start with is if there's things that maybe I'm missing that you guys really need help with, DM me or let Nazar know or let team leader, whoever, somehow cycle that information back to me, because I'd love to get you guys what you want, which is going to move you forward. Outside of coaching, I'm also a practitioner. I run a team. I'm making phone calls. I'm holding open houses. I'm following up with leads. I'm doing all the stuff that you guys are doing. And as a coach, I really like to coach on things that I'm actually doing as well, not theory, stuff that I know that works, conversations that I'm having. One of the gals on my team just joined, which I'm excited about. So that's just a little bit of a background about me. Today, what we're going to talk about are just simple conversations that we can have. And let me share my screen here. Simple conversations that we can have that I think will help move your business forward. Or I think we titled it, Give Yourself a Raise. Because I do think it's the small things that we say that end up making a really large difference. We won't spend the whole time in a slide deck, but we will spend a little bit of time in it. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, so this is my belief. The purpose of being an entrepreneur, which we're all entrepreneurs at a certain extent, or salespeople, is to create a business that serves life, not a life that serves business, right? We're all doing this so we can go with our 2-year-old to Disneyland, as an example, right? We're not doing this just so we can sit on the phone and make phone calls. So I think all the time about how do I create clients, right? I want to do it the fastest and easiest way possible where I'm happy going to work. There's this coaching filter, a filter I coach through, which is what's the fastest and easiest way for people to achieve their goal where they're happy going to work every day. Hey, with that being said, every business daily should be focused on client acquisition and client retention. There are no doors to open if we don't have clients. The most valuable thing we do in this business is acquire a client. You can't acquire any relationship, you guys, without communication. And we all have, if we have spouses, we have a spouse because one person started calling or texting, and eventually the other person started calling or texting back, and we kept communicating. It's the basis of every relationship. So this is a piece I think that sometimes gets missed a lot. It's who are we communicating with? We cannot communicate with everybody the same way. I can't communicate with someone in my sphere the same way as I communicate with someone who doesn't know me and expect the same conversion rate. There's some pieces of communication I could send to both of those buckets. But if I'm reaching out, doing one-to-one communication, I'm going to ask a different question or start my conversation differently with someone who I've done business with versus someone who I haven't. I'm going to start communication differently with an old Zillow connection that hasn't purchased a home yet, that's 2 years old, than someone I just sold a house with 6 months ago. One of the observations I have as a coach is people have 1 or 2 messages of the month or one thing they say. They try to start every conversation the same way. But we have to think about who we're communicating to, put ourselves in their shoes, meet them where they're at, really think about the question that we're going to ask so we can increase our probability of a two-way communication. We have to think about how are we communicating with them based on where they're at. Now, this is like a typical David Caldwell slide, the next one, that's going to be full of lots of data. And everyone thinks I'm analytical. I'm actually a driver. I use data to make better educated decisions so I can go faster, right? I do a lot of stuff. So I like to use data so I can go faster. 41% of salespeople said their phone's the most effective sales tool at their disposal. Are we communicating, I'm going to say this, voice to voice. Are we communicating voice to voice enough with our prospects.
David?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, bro, sorry to interrupt you. I think are you looking at a slide deck that maybe we can't see?
Yeah, I guess I am. Hold on. Let me try that again. I thought I got the nod from Nazar that you guys could see it.
I can see a slide deck. Oh,
There
that's
you
the
go.
one.
I could tell it was something different that was on our screen. Okay, cool. Thanks, bro.
All right. Hey, here's my pretty slides we missed. We're not going to go backwards, though. Thank you.
Funny.
Hey, 41% of salespeople said that was the most effective sales tool at their disposal. Right? Hey, 19% of buyers want to connect with a salesperson during the awareness stage. Just thinking about buying a house, but I still want to talk to somebody. 60% when they're like getting close, right? They're in consideration. Should I do this or not? I need someone to help me make my decision. 20% really want to talk to us just at the decision stage. But David, I call people and they don't call me back. It's not their responsibility. Our responsibility is to let people know that we are available. It's not their responsibility to call us back. Like, I believe you reap what you sow, right? If I'm out planting seeds and planting seeds and planting seeds and planting seeds, I'm going to harvest at some point. If I'm not planting seeds, there's not going to be a harvest. We have to understand who we're communicating to and where they're at in this process. How many real estate agents, if we're team leaders, or I know I'm guilty of this too, well, I sent a bunch of emails. I mean, you guys, 24% of sales emails, sometimes you hear it as 20%. This is a more updated stat, I think, from HubSpot, are even opened. But the response rate on that is much less, right? We're planting seeds, we're planting seeds, we're planting seeds. We all know how difficult it is, even sometimes to get past clients on a call. Like my assistant, if she was on this call right now, she hammers me all the time on taking people to lunch. When I take someone to lunch once a week, and I love giving people books, I have a whole bookshelf back here of books. Every time I go to lunch with someone, I give them a book. I like to do gifting. Those people always give me referrals. Always. I have these like cute little stickers in there that say, you know, yada, yada. I give this book with appreciation. It's a strategy that works for me. But I usually have to reach out to like 3 or 4 or 5 people to even book a lunch. These are past clients. These are friends. People are busy, right? Getting in touch with people is not always easy. Now, these are people that I know. Like one of my buddies, I just called him the other day. Like, hey, dude, you want to go to lunch this week? Guy I went to college with. I've done multiple transactions with him. Hey, dude, I'm really busy. Maybe call me in a month and we can go like in a month. Right? Like, it's not always easy. Imagine how much more difficult it becomes to create a relationship with someone about buying or selling when we just met them at an open house, or they were an online lead, or they're an expired listing. Most people stop their follow-up too soon. 44% of salespeople give up after one follow-up. I'm going to say one follow-up attempt. We know most people aren't calling. We reach out once, they told us to stop calling. I can't see everyone right now, but I bet there would be some hand raisers. If I'm like, have you ever sold a house to someone who the first time you talked to them, they said they had an agent? If you keep following up, that's like the get out of jail free card, right? Oh, I have an agent. How long have you been working with them? Oh, I have an agent. When was the last time you looked at property with them? Hey, I have an agent. Like, that's just a common objection, right? It's like going to the store and saying, I want to buy a new blazer, or looking for a new blazer, but you're not looking for anything. I do that all the time when I go shopping. I know exactly what I'm looking for. Someone asks if they can help. I don't want help yet. I'm just browsing. What are you browsing for? Oh, a jacket. Here's one of my biggest observations from coaching some of the really big teams around the country, doing big sales calls and working one-on-one with salespeople, and even talking to the team leaders sometimes that are in production, is that most of us are not having enough conversations because we're not quite sure what to say, because we're not thinking about what to say. I believe that most real estate salespeople are having less than 1,000 real estate-based conversations a year. And we know that most people we talk to will not be buying or selling real estate this year. For a long time, we've heard 10%, right? 10% of people move annually, or 7% of people move annually. I think like 3 to 5% of people in most people's database are the people that are actually moving. Right? Am I talking to enough people to even achieve my goals? Am I planting enough seeds? Every conversation is not about a sale. It's about letting people know, perceivably, that I'm their best option. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing my slide deck since I shared the wrong one for half the time. And we're just going to talk about a couple scenarios and scripts. And if you guys have like certain scenarios that you guys want to work on, put it in the chat or just talk over me. I'm okay with that. And we'll go through some things. But I'm going to give you guys a couple different scripts that I really like, that I found work for me, work for other clients, scripts that have worked at scale. Right? For people we know, for people that are my friends, my past clients, right? Even like my friends that might make fun of me if they think if they think I'm trying to sell them something. Right now, there's less sales in the United States. We all know that. We're all experiencing that. So I'm calling a lot of people and going, hey, Matt, this is a selfish call. I need some help. I know that everyone knows someone who's going to move this year. I think this is a key part of this script. I know that everyone knows someone who's going to move this year. When you run into that person that you know and you think maybe I'd be a match to help them, would you feel comfortable connecting me with that person in a text message? Do you guys think people are really going to say no to that? What would you do if with a new client that's not responding to your calls or messages? Okay, we'll talk about that. The key part of the script is I know everyone knows someone who's going to move this year. So when you run into that person, it's not who do you know that's going to move. I know you know someone that's going to move. Just going to make the assumption, right? And we all know that's accurate. Hey, be really meaningful to me if you connect me with that person in a text message. The people that know, like, and trust you, you guys, they are not going to say no to that. One of the agents on my team, she had this conversation with a Zillow lead that she had nurtured and nurtured and nurtured. And one day she got a call from that Zillow lead and they said, hey, I'm moving to the East Coast, so I'm not going to use you. Right? That's a bummer. I remember getting that call from Juliana because she thought she was going to close that person. And about a month ago, I get a call from Juliana. Well, I called the gal that moved to the East Coast. Do you remember her? Yeah, I remember her. And I asked her if she knew anyone who was, or I knew she knew someone who's going to move and buy and sell real estate this year. And she connected me with her daughter, who lives in Portland. And Juliana just had her most expensive buyer purchase and most expensive listing in her career by asking a question to somebody she didn't even really know, making the assumption they knew someone that was going to move that lived on the East Coast. And when Julie called me and told me that, I thought she might not duplicate that experience with someone who moved to the East Coast, but if she keeps making calls like this, this is something that will be duplicated over and over and over. This is something that we could do at scale. Right? She built trust with somebody. She asked a specific question and she got a result. She had communicated over and over and over to build trust, right? We can't ask it on the first call. So I love that question to people that I know, right? I'm uncomfortable with scripts that aren't truthful, right? And I don't like to use scripts that seem like really big and flamboyant or have a scenario I can't duplicate. But a seller script that I love right now, like a circle prospecting type script, is if I call Nazar and I said, hey, Nazar, 123 Banana Street just sold down the road. And I could talk about the circumstances of that sale. I could talk about how it sold in a week. I could say that it's sold in 50 days. It doesn't matter. I talk about the circumstances of the sale, but then I say, hey, would you have 30 minutes to talk about how the sale of that home impacts the value of yours? Hey, would it be helpful to you to know how the sale of this home impacts the value of yours? I'm at an open house and a neighbor comes in and they're just looking right? We all know the nosy neighbors that come in and want to see the updates and this and this. Hey, Nazar, when this home sells, would it be helpful to you if I gave you a call and told you how the sale of this home impacts the value of yours? That's a pretty easy offer to say yes to, right? But you want to talk about how the sale of this home impacts the value of yours. Hey, when I'm talking to that person about how this sale impacts the value of yours, really big open-ended question, but I love this question as well. Can you foresee any life changes that would make you a home seller in the next 3 to 5 years? The average person stays in a home for 10 years, you guys. A lot of people actually can foresee a life change that would make them a home seller in 3 to 5 years. Ask that question to somebody who has kids in high school. Right? Yeah, my downside, oh, we might move here, we might move here. If I ask my sister that question right now, who my nephew's in college at GCU in Arizona, she'd be like, yeah, if Eli stays in Arizona, I'm going to want to move to Phoenix. Wait, how frequently would you want me to update you on what's going on in the marketplace? I have a belief as a coach, if I can become the person who is proactively communicating to my clients about the health of the market and what's going on in the market, they don't have to ask anybody else. And if I'm the one communicating to them about what's going on in the market, eventually I'm going to earn that business. I'm just out there planting seeds. Can you foresee any life changes that would make you a home seller in the next 3 to 5 years? How about those Zillow connections or online leads where the people are renting and they're just not ready to buy yet, right? Or they like where they're at. They just don't want to talk to us. Hey, can you foresee any life changes in the next year or two that would make you a home buyer? It's really open-ended, just trying to get them to talk. Right? The person who can ask the best questions and create a relationship, we all know that those people win, right? Let's stay on online leads for a little while. Like a fresh lead that comes in, I'm trying to build rapport. Hey, Nazar, tell me, while I look up this home, see if we can see it at this time, tell me where you live now. What do you love about it? Now, a driver isn't going to answer very much of that question, you guys, right? Driver, they just want to go see the house. But most people aren't drivers. Man, I've been on the phone for 30 minutes with people just telling me where they live now and what do they love about it. Hey, can I ask, which of those qualities do you want to take to your next home? They talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Hey, by the way, the home you're in now, do you need to sell that home to get to the next one? Now I know if they're a seller. But really simple dialogues to build rapport. Hey, you love this home so much, it sounds like. Give me a little bit more information about why you want to move. And we know the SC, they're going to tell us everything we want to know, right? We're building rapport, we're building rapport, we're building rapport. I don't, sometimes I just schedule the appointment. Sometimes I know the personal talk. I'll spend 30 minutes on that call building rapport. Here's one I really like for an online lead. Oh, I thought I was calling the listing agent. I have an agent. Well, how long have you been working with the agent? Right? Tell me about the relationship. There's one story I tell all the time. There was a gentleman, his name was Mike, and he called me because he thought I was a listing agent. He goes, oh, well, I already have an agent. So when was the last time you talked to your agent? Or when was the last time you looked at property with your agent? How long have you been working with them? Well, I've been working with them I worked with him 5 years ago, but I called him and he hasn't called me back on this one yet. And I go, great. What if we kept the appointment time? I'll show you the house. And if you like my style of representation, would you give me 15 minutes to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me? If you like my style of representation. If you don't like my style of representation, then we never have to talk again. I'm trying to quantify that call when someone says they have an agent, like, tell me about that relationship. Are they just trying to get to the listing agent? Nazar is shaking his head. He doesn't like this advice. I'm not trying to steal someone's client. That guy didn't have a relationship. This is not about stealing someone's client. This is about when people think they have an agency relationship and they don't. But if you like my style of representation, can we talk about what it would be like to work with each other? Hey, the new client that is not responding to your calls or messages. Tell me about that client relationship.
Like a new lead, for example, we just got it with a request, and you're trying to get to meet them and work with them.
Yeah. So, you know, so like a Zillow connection.
Yeah, online leads in general doesn't have to be Zillow.
Yeah. So online leads in general, what's the conversion rate on a Google PPC lead? 1 to 2%. You know, at best 1 in 50. Zillow connection, I think you get those above 10%. But if I'm reaching out to somebody and they're not responding, that goes back to like that cadence of communication, right? I want to be professionally persistent with that person. I'm going to remember that it's my job to remind them that I'm available. It's not their job to remind me that they're not ready. So what did they register on? What house did they register on? I'm going to keep them up to date on what's happening with that property. You registered on this property. You wanted to see it. You ghosted me. I'm going to let you know if there's a price reduction. I'm going to let you know if it goes pending. I'm going to let you know when it sells. I'm also going to try to bring you other options that are similar. How can I make it easy for that person to want to communicate with me? If I just call and I say, hey, this is David Caldwell with Hillshire Realty Group. I'm just following up on your home search. Do you want to look at anything this weekend? Not very compelling. Hey, you registered on 123 Banana Street. I'm not sure if you saw 1234 Banana Street came on the market. Hey, I just want to let you know I sent you a list of 4 properties. I texted them to you that all are similar to the property that you registered on. If any of those look interesting, I'd love to show you those properties this weekend or whenever it's convenient to you. I'm going to try to offer value and offer value and offer value. I'm also going to try to like introduce them to me. It might be a video text message, or if you on our YouTube page, we have bio videos that talk about what we believe about helping people buy and sell real estate. So I'm going to introduce them to me. Then I might also go, how can I introduce them to the marketplace? For those of you who are creating content, when I think about a conversion funnel, right? Conversations, content that makes my life easier. For the person who's not quite ready to buy yet, but one night they're up in bed and they registered on a website. I want to introduce you to me. If you're not willing to talk to me, I want to send you some content so you can get to know who I am and what I believe. And then I want to send you some information on the community. If I can get you a little bit connected to me, and I can be the one educating you on the community, and then I could be the one who's showing you additional property, I'm making things easy. I'm going to make it easy for you to respond to me. Is it Tarek? Is that how I say name?
Tarek.
Tarek, if I called you every day, 5 times a day, and didn't leave voice messages, would you ever call me back?
Too much. I don't know. Too many calls, right?
Yeah, if I called you a couple times a week and I gave you updates on the market and I sent you 2, 3, 4 properties.
But how are you going to give me the updates if I'm not responding?
You don't need to respond because I'm just texting them to you. Or I'm
Okay.
emailing. Or I'm leaving you a voice message. I asked Nazar one time, I said, if I left you like a bunch of voice messages, would you call me back? And he goes, no. You know? And he's shaking his head like, yeah, he wouldn't call me back. That's okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to say no now.
That's okay. But the person who leaves a lot of voice messages and plant those seeds, you see all the time, those agents win and have success over time with a certain segment of the population. Some people won't, right? But some people do. And online leads, it's a numbers game. If we look at Google PPC leads, right, and they convert at 1 or 2%, what's that mean? 98 out of 100 don't do anything with me. I can call them in the face, right? But it's a sorting mechanism, right? Can I create some tools and content? And if we go back to what bucket of people am I communicating with? So many people communicate via text message. I could look at that bucket in my CRM And I could send a lot of people the same market update, the same, here's what's going on in the market. Like, what's a compelling reason to be a buyer in your market, or what's a compelling reason to be a seller? In the Portland housing market, guys, right now, there's about 2 homes on the market for every person buying. We haven't had a market like this for 5 years, and that's creating unique buying opportunities for would-be home buyers still in the market. Agreeable fact, and then what could the follow-up question be? So if you're still in the market for a new home, if you'd have 5 minutes, I'd love to talk to you about how you could take advantage of the additional listings. If you registered on my website right now and you're looking for a $900,000 home in the southwest suburbs where I predominantly work, between $800,000 and $1 million, you guys, there's about a little bit over 60 homes on the market at any given time right now. There's only 4 or 5 going pending a week. That's a buying opportunity. Those are things that you can start communicating in mass to some of those buckets if you segment your leads properly. And segmentation might just be city or an area that people generally work in, and then a price band. But if we think about what are the opportunities for those people, even if you're not responding, if I send you something of value and you don't unsubscribe, I don't send you unsubscribable content, eventually a certain percentage of the population will respond to you. But that piece is a numbers game. And I'd say, hey, what do I do when I have a new prospect that's not responding to my calls? How do I build trust with that person? And how do I separate myself and demonstrate competency from the average agent?
By keep adding value in every message or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And adding value, sometimes it's follow-up, sometimes it's a fact about the market, sometimes it's another home. But you guys, it's like follow-up's the game.
David, I think it's important for people to know that sometimes when you reach out to someone, a prospect, over and over and over and over again, and you don't get a response from them, doesn't mean that they don't want to talk to you, or it doesn't mean they don't need your services, or it doesn't mean that they don't want to connect with you. They're just like, who knows what their circumstances are, right? You just don't know.
Yeah, they're just not ready. Yeah, and it's not their job to tell us. That's something I think about all the time and talk about all the time. It's our responsibility to remind people we're available. It's not their responsibility to tell us they're not ready. When someone tries to hard close me, you guys, I totally turn off. When someone educates me, like that's what gets me to go, right? When I'm ready to buy. I bought a car online because I wanted to avoid being sold, right? But I watched all the YouTube videos about the car so I could be educated on it. Most realtors, we're treating everybody like they're at the bottom of the funnel, and we're just trying to book the appointment. We should be going for appointments, but really what we should be working on is the relationship. I know Matt's team does that really well because I get emails from Matt at least once a week for I don't know how long, and I'm not an unsubscriber, right? And I unsubscribe from a lot. Yeah, exactly. Shake that fist. I unsubscribe from a lot of real estate newsletters that come to me that don't offer value, right? Like, he's demonstrating something in his business every day, right? Trying to gain agent-to-agent referrals. Smart. Great strategy.
It's someone's asking,
Your education.
when should you give up on a lead?
I wouldn't say when do you give up. Like, when do you switch your cadence? A lot of our websites tell us when someone came back to the website and did something. That's a good time to follow up with somebody. Right? When do I switch from one-to-one phone calls to just emails, like an email newsletter? When I get one of two fingers, yeah. Hey, don't work with jerks. We have that rule too. Most of our CRMs tell us if someone is responsive and or opening my email. If you show me a sign of life, if I can go on Follow Up Boss or Chime or any CRM and see you open my email, I will continue communication with you. It's when you show me no signs of life after 12 months that I go to more email-based follow-up. But in my CRM, you guys, I have people that have been in my CRM, 2016, 17, 18, that still interact. They just haven't done anything yet. What I can tell you, an observation again from coaching some of the top real estate teams around the country, the people who sell the most real estate close the oldest leads. And if you can close an old lead, you can close a new one. Right? The pipeline's the most important thing we have. So when you receive a notification from someone that viewed one listing you sent and haven't connected with a while, what do you say when you call them? Sometimes I just tell people, depending on if I've communicated with them before, hey, my website said you were looking at homes. I want to check in with you today. Sometimes I say, hey, you registered on our website through Google a year ago. Want to see if you had purchased a home yet, or if you're still in the market for a new one. Hey, you did this. I just wanted to see if you had 5 minutes to talk about the state of the housing market. But I think most people, you guys, know that when they're on our website, like we all know, people know what we're doing online. And we go, oh, that's creepy to say you looked at this house. We, on our CRM, you go to our website and you look at one home 3 times, the agent gets an email that you looked at this home 3 times. Sometimes I just call them and say, hey, I saw you were looking at 123 Main Street.
David, I know that cars are not the same as houses.
Yeah.
But I've had 2 experiences with 2 different Mercedes dealerships, where one was, this was, I don't know, 10 years ago. I was looking about buying my first, like I had a Lexus and wanted to step it up to get a Mercedes or a BMW. And I went to a Mercedes dealership and I walked in and I said, hey, I'm looking for, an S-Class Mercedes, whatever color. Back in the day, they had actual inventory. And I said, yeah, just give us a minute. They literally brought up the front of the car, or they brought up the car to the front of the dealership, the color I wanted. They opened the door. I got in, expecting them to like ask me for my license and, expecting to get in the car and first to do a test drive. They closed the door. I go ahead and take it around for a spin, come back whenever you want to. And I'm like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, just drive, go spin, take it for a spin. And so I drove around for 2 minutes. I was like really nervous. I'm like, I didn't want to wreck the car, but they weren't with me. They didn't take my stuff. I could have like driven off with the car, but because of that experience, I came back. I ended up not buying that car because I got a better deal on a 7 Series BMW. But just that experience alone put that in my head that if I ever wanted to buy a Mercedes, I'd buy it through them.
Yep.
And sure enough, I went back and I bought a car from them, several years later. Another Mercedes dealership at Newport Beach. I went there, I test drove a car. I didn't buy at the time. And they were tenacious at calling, email, texting, whatever. And I just completely ignored them because I wasn't ready at that point. And then sure enough, when I was ready, I went and bought another car from them, because for me, it's all about being consistent and follow up. And you guys in real estate, when it's a bigger transaction, it's a bigger deal. There's more at stake. It's not something that happens overnight, right? It's a process. And when we're getting these leads, sometimes we're getting these leads early in advance, where these guys are still 2-3 years from making a move. And so you just have to be patient. And you might think they might be, not talking to you. That means that they're not interested. They are. They just might not be ready at that moment in time. So don't look at it as a no. Look at it as a not now. Just as a perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think that's the bow on it. I think that's a big takeaway based on everything we said. We talk about how to get people, or how to communicate, and some of the favorite questions, but there's no magic sentence that makes people convert today. You're building relationships. We need to talk to more people, and exactly the experience that Nazar just outlined. It takes time.
Don't give up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, you guys can DM me or email me, dcaldwell@yourcoach.com. And if there's specific things you guys want on these, let Nazar know, and I can talk with him about it, or the team, and we can make sure that next time you guys see a slide deck and not a survey, I think is what you guys were probably seeing.
I think that's what it was that you were trying to show. But
yeah, I think it was a survey that I was gathering information from for the pretty slide deck that you guys couldn't see.
Gotcha.
All right.
All right, guys. Good seeing you all.